Episode 11. Changes. Let's talk. Nova sat opposite Vesper, who leaned forward slightly, interlacing her fingers. Are you feeling better? I am. Thank you. Vesper nodded. The brief silence was punctuated by the sound of her nail tapping on the table. I'll start by thanking you. Nothing went the way I imagined, but you achieved our goal. After so many centuries, the Conduit is finally back with the others. And I know it almost cost you, Shin, and Onyx your lives. She ran her hand through her hair with a tired sigh and then rubbed her eyes, smearing her mascara a little. Nova doubted Vesper got any sleep last night. Shin and Onyx volunteered to take part of this operation. You, on the other hand... I'm sorry that I put you in that position, Nova. It wasn't a real choice. If you had died, your blood would be on my hands. I want you to know that I understand that. Nova bit her tongue, pausing to think about how to answer. Would you do it again? If you could go back in time, would you do it again? There was confusion, fear, and regret on her face. The answer to the question lay on the surface of her silence. You would. Not because I want to, but because it needs to be done. I always do what needs to be done. This is far more important than me and my personal desires. Nova folded her hands in her lap, rubbing the fabric of her clothing. I don't know what to tell you, Vesper. There's only one thing that's clear to me. I'm glad I'm not in your place. I don't think I could ever make the decision that would affect so many other people's lives so profoundly. Either way, you've proven that you're willing to go to great lengths for our common objective. After everything you've been through, I will welcome you back to the Alliance. How thoughtful of you. Exhaling, Nova smiled. I'm proud that we have returned the Conduit to the others. This is a significant step. Absolutely. The Catra's smile faded as a sly thought entered her mind. If I had failed, would they see me as useless? She refused to dwell on that now. I wanted to ask where you sent Renato. I need to visit him. Vesper squinted, cocking her head to the side. Nova, he's a priest, your former partner, and a Vatican agent. I can't allow for you to... He's more than a priest, he's my friend. A friend that saved me. Do you think he would have done that if he was faithful to the ideals of the church? Grigorov saw him step in front of a bullet for me. Renato can't go back to the Vatican and pretend he didn't protect a dangerous and unwanted witch at the cost of his own life. If it weren't for him, we wouldn't have secured the Conduit. The Alliance would have lost a time catcher, so you yourself owe him a great deal. I understand that you don't like this, but to be honest, that doesn't concern me nearly as much as Renato's condition. He poses no danger to us, and I insist on seeing him. Vesper stared at her for a couple seconds and then nodded curtly. I'll give you instructions on how to get through the tunnels to the shelter he's staying at. Thank you. I'll have to talk to him myself to decide what to do with this mess, but I think that can wait. No, not like we don't have enough problems to deal with already, including this one. She carefully pushed Raffaello's box, which Nova had already forgotten about, in her direction. The catcher peered inside. A note? That's it? That's it. Humidity blurred the ink in some places, but the text was still legible. Taken by Madame Serpent. Madame Serpent? That's just nonsense. Some kind of mythological creature. Is it some kind of historical figure's name or nickname? Figuring this has a lot to do with history, I'm going to go ahead and go with... Why not? Yes, Catherine de Medicis. The one who was the Queen of France? She was searching for the source? That didn't really surprise me. Rulers are always searching for an opportunity to tighten their grip on power, and a magical artifact could well help with that. Except if she had used it, we would definitely have known about it, so it looks like she never actually found it. Nova shook her head, remembering everything she knew about the Catherine, a duchess from an influential Medici family. Or she did, but used it for more personal matters. Realizing she couldn't fully rely on her own knowledge, Nova found a book on the subject on one of the shelves and returned to the table. Here, she married Henry of Orleans, who became the next in line for the French throne. Shortly after the wedding, naturally, everyone expected Catherine to give him a heir. She had trouble getting pregnant for a very long time. It says here that the Europe's best doctors were trying to treat her infertility, but I remember reading theories that Catherine actually kept others at court. Vesper lifted the book to look at the cover. In the lower right corner, there was a small gold emblem, that letter M. Of course, there won't be a word about it here. Is that surprising? I wish I could throw all the Magisterium-approved BS out of the vault, but then half of our shelves would be empty. I try to add to the collection of our books when I get the chance, but the self-publishing isn't an easy process. Few copies were usually printed, and there are many of us in the community who want to own those books. That kind of censorship censors truth. Or harms truth. Back to the Catherine. As far as I understand, she did end up having children. Nova found a paragraph. Yes, as many as 10. So you think she could have used the source to help her conceive? I find it strange to use its great power for something so small. No, you're not looking at it from the perspective of, if she used the powers of the conduit, they most likely became others, then the others would branch off and get more and more heirs and lineage. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. It's just a guess. We'll probably never know for sure. Anyway, Catherine was born from after Raffaello's death. He might have hidden an object leading to the source in the box, which she took. And then someone wrote about it on a piece of paper. So generous. I haven't even had a proper rest after the whole Raffaello ordeal, and now we have to start digging up information on the Medicis. The catcher smiled faintly with a shrug. I must admit, after all these dangerous outings, I really don't mind sitting with books for a while. Well, at least one of us will enjoy it. While we're on the subject, were you only working at the museum as a cover, or do you genuinely enjoy art and history? Ooh, the David Joyce would improve your friendship. Talk to Vesper about your interests. I've been curious about those topics since I was a child. As I mentioned, I didn't have any friends, so you'd often find me with a book in my hands, even when I wasn't studying. We didn't have much fiction at home, mostly religious texts, obviously, and some scientific work, so that was what I read. I enjoyed them. I even made up a game for myself. I'd come up with biographies for historical figures and add all sorts of silly facts. It sounds fun. My hobbies have always been less elevated, except for chess. Like? Growing up in an orphanage was tough, but at least I was surrounded by other kids like me. We were always up to no good, pulling pranks and whatnot. We'd use magic to throw the teacher's journal on the roof or dye drinks in the canteen blue, things like that. We'd get punished, of course. And yet I cherish those memories. I couldn't help but wonder what it would have been like to live with my parents because I felt lonely, but I think growing up in isolation is much harder than in an orphanage. Feeling timid under her gaze, Nova bit her cheek. Vesper seemed to be sympathetic to her situation, but the catcher didn't know what to do with that sympathy. She hurried to return the focus on the other woman. Do you know who they are, your parents? Of course I do. I was sure I'd regret it if I found them, but I couldn't stop myself. I hate being in the dark about things. I started searching for them once I had achieved considerable success. I even met my father. He's a businessman, so I scheduled a meeting under the guise of being interested in a collaboration. Did he recognize you? No. She replied with trained impassivity. It was a big risk, but it was worth it. if he realized who I was, he could blow my cover, destroying all my plans. But for some reason, I didn't care. I wanted him to recognize me. I thought it would mean he hadn't forgotten me. And that he remembered my face, his daughter's face. As if that could fix anything. Vesper cleared her throat, as though pushing away her disappointment and sadness. That meeting didn't give me much, although I did find out that I have a younger sister. I saw family photos in my father's office. She was luckier than me. And, well... She was interrupted by a phone call. Excusing herself, she went to the corner of the room to take it, then returned to the catcher with a stern expression on her face. Is everything all right? No, of course not. The woman pressed her fingers to her eyelids, slumping in her chair. What happened? Sorry, I'm not ready to share the details like this with you. If the information isn't critical and doesn't affect your work and safety, I'd prefer not to disclose it. I hope you understand my desire to take this precaution. So that's what it's going to be like, then. I almost feel like going seriously after everything I've done. I'm just not even going to give you anything. I'm going to stay silent. An expressive silence hung between them for now. I think it's also important to emphasize one thing. We want to trust you. The Alliance's need for a time catcher isn't the only reason you're here. You are one of us, Nova, and your place among those who understand you. Who understand what it's like to feel misplaced, to hide your true self, to be aware of that experience and the injustice of this world every day. Others shouldn't be afraid to be who they are. We have the right to a full life, and we will demand it. We will claim it. Together. That's a very inspiring speech, or a narrow view of reality. Inspiring speech. I'm glad I chose this path. We will. Vesper got up from the table and went to one of the shelves, taking a small object. She then recited a short spell over it. Here. This is the Okawa Guide. It works like a compass, but always points towards the place it's set to. It'll lead you to the Werner's hideout, where the priest is now. Naturally, I didn't tell anyone about him being a man of the cloth. The priest, she knows his name. Comment or don't comment? We won't comment. Accepting the guide, now returned it in her hands, watching the movement of a thin arrow. When you get to the door, knock like this. She demonstrated tapping her knuckles on the table twice and pausing and then repeating the same actions again and again. I'm assuming 6 knocks? 3 times 2 knocks. So 6. Yes. Tell them you've come to pick up the violet. Sure. Thank you. Do you need anything else, or can I go? You may go. Someone will let me know when the next meeting you'll be needed at is going to take place. And thanks again, Nova. The conduits could make all the difference. The catcher nodded with a smile and left the vault. You walked through the tunnels, and it didn't take long. Soon Nova found herself in the shelter of the herbalist named Werner. Before they let her in, she knocked 3 times twice, and said that she came to pick up the violet. Wonder how many people go, I forget. I'm serious. When the door opened, Nova shrugged, staring at the man standing in front of her. Hi. Hello. Do we know each other? I feel like I've seen you somewhere before. He scratched the back of his head. I don't think so. And then it dawned on her. The owner of the store, who was pinned against the wall in the alley because of the customer's complaint about a cream. Feels like it happened in another life. That same day, she also fell off the roof and met Onyx, Dee Dee, Nina, who turned out to be Vesper, the Nest, Jorge, Lucian. The images from the past made her head spin. She had to close her eyes tightly to force herself back to reality. I'm, Marco. Marco held his hand to her. She shook it, deciding not to mention that she figured out why this face seemed familiar. Nice to meet you, Nova. Yeah, I figured, by your eyes. Come in, sit down. Do you have business with Werner? He's with a patient right now, but you can wait here. Nova clasped her hands behind her back, looking around the room. As she could hear murmuring, some of the devices beeping down the hall. The air was saturated with a sour smell of herbs and tinctures. Thanks, I'll stand. And no, I'm not here for him. I came to... A woman's cry of pain suddenly came from the depths of the house, followed by a lot of obscene language. Nova, her flinch in surprise, noticing her flinch in surprise, Marco explained, she's from a group that organized a protest at the Piazza di Spagna. Some indifferent ordinaries called the Magisterium who wanted the group to disperse. Everyone did except for that witch. Can't remember her name. She refused. They tried to take her away. She fought back. Long story short, she ended up getting pepper sprayed. Usually the irritation dies down quickly, but she turned out to have a severe allergy, so yeah, she's really suffering. Don't be surprised if you hear her again. She needs to use a special eye drops every hour, and they burn a lot. I see. Is this like a hospital for others? Kinda. So why are you here? I'm visiting someone. Vesper arranged for him to stay here. He's an ordinary. Oh. His change in expression and still panic. Is something wrong? No, let me take you to him, yeah? We put him in a separate room. Of course. Swallowing nervously, she followed Marco down the hall. When they stopped at the door to Renato's ward, Marco turned to the catcher. Right here. I have to go help Werner, so I don't think I'll see you after you're done. But it was nice to meet you. Good luck. Thank you, you too. Waving goodbye to her, Marco walked away towards the stairs. Nova knocked gently on the door. A sense of foreboding enveloped her. Receiving no answer, the woman decided to enter without permission. Oh my god, I'm naked! Jesus Christ, get out! No, I'm kidding. As soon as she stepped into the room, the reigning darkness embraced her. The dim lamp provided just enough light to illuminate the bottles with indecipherable labels sitting on the bedside table. Nova thought about summoning a small fire in her hand, but decided not to take any chances. Her success with that spell has varied. The only sounds were the thudding of her heart and his ragged, hoarse breathing. Renato? He was on the bed, covered with a heavy blanket, despite the fact that the room was quite warm. Noticing a chair against the wall, Nova moved to the bedside as quietly as possible. Now sitting next to him, she noticed the sheen of sweat on his forehead. The exhaustion etched on his face turned her soul inside out. She said his name again. Opening his eyes and seeing her, the priest, was he any more? Smiled. Nova. Hello. His voice sounded weak. Nova looked at him, trying to find the right words. But how could she ever express her gratitude? Her sense of guilt? Seeing the myriad of thoughts and emotions on her face, he shook his head. Don't. You and I both know it was my choice. You had nothing to do with my decision. You almost died, and you won't be able to go back to the Vatican now. I don't understand why. He sees you as a close friend. I wanted to protect you. I care about you. I couldn't just stand by and watch you get murdered. By this we come to know thy love, that he laid down his life for us, and we ought to lay lives down for brothers. I know that for my actions the Vatican will strip me of my rank, but is it worth serving an institution that believes saving a person's life deserves punishment? I always made decisions with the church in mind, hiding behind my faith. I am done with that. So you've made a decision. I have. And I want to thank you again for listening to me back then. After our conversation, everything finally fell into place. I want to believe that the way my heart tells me to is the Lord tells me to, not other people. I still feel that my vocation is to carry his word into the world, but to be a priest, but not the kind they want to see in the Vatican. The realization of what has happened made the catcher break into a smile. Just like her, Renato saw the Catholic Church was deliberately perverting sacred texts in an effort to instill fear of others in people. I suspect... Tongue twist! I suspected this would happen. Renato's truly a kind, empathetic person. We're on the same side. However, she didn't allow herself to say it aloud. It's probably wiser to keep the fact that I joined the Alliance a secret, even from him. At least for now. I'll need to think everything through and discuss it with the others. Never. I'm sorry for putting all this on you. I won't be able to continue working for Cardinal Barone, and... He coughed, grimacing in pain. Talking took away the strength he already didn't have. He tried to speak, but the catcher stopped him. Quiet. You're burning up. We'll discuss this later, but for now, let me call for someone. Yeah, no, don't. I was told to take that tincture if things got worse. He pointed to one of the vials. Nova passed it over, removing the cork and looking at the label. Willow root and mint. Moray uses this to treat colds, not serious injuries. Does this Werner guy even know what he's doing? After drinking the tincture, he leaned back on the pillow, shifted his sleepy gaze to his guest. I've never seen you without contacts. I wish I'd warned them. It's nice that he saw my real eyes. They spent several minutes in silence as Nova was trying to put her thoughts together. I wanted to thank you. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't be here right now. There's still so much to discuss, considering how the situation has changed, but... Oh, he fell asleep. Adjust his blanket and leave. Smiling softly, Nova adjusted his blanket and quietly left the room. She hoped her friend would recover as soon as possible. A few days later. Nova was reading about Catherine de Medici, wrapped in a blanket. She didn't know what exactly to look for, but decided it wouldn't hurt to remember as much about her as possible. Oh no. I was about to say it's French. Chateau de Blois is often recognized as her main residence, as her place of relaxation. Catherine preferred Chateau de Chenosier. Well, it was easier with Raffaello, at least he lived in Italy. Catherine spent most of her life in France. Looking up from her book, she checked the time. I should get ready. I might be early, but that's fine. The Alliance meeting was supposed to take place on the roof as Vesper accidentally shattered a vial of something toxic in the vault. Getting out of bed, Nova went up to her closet to choose her outfit. Companion, Wanderer, Defender, Seeker. I like that one. It's black. Leave me alone. Patroness. Buy all outfits. Alright, let's just take a look here. I like that one too, actually. Wanderer. Defender. I'm gonna go with Seeker. Leave me alone. Is this my choice? Oh, good. Let me guess, hair. Well, so far I don't like these hairstyles, but here we go. I mean, a lot of the first ones were free, but then they braided, and then the voluminous. You know, it's too bad they don't have a voluminous red. Or black, by the way. They only have brown and then, like, blondish. Staying with my current one. All good. After the meeting, she was going to visit Renato again. When she came to see him that morning, he could barely speak due to the pain, relieving tinctures. He was on the mend, and now, with this infection... Werner claimed he was doing everything he could, but the case was too complicated. Renato underwent teleportation immediately after getting shot, and that played a big role in the process of his recovery. Sighing heavily, Nova left her room. Why do I feel like he's going to end up dying? It smelled of slush and rain outside. The snow, as expected, didn't stay long. Nova saw she wasn't the only one who had the idea to spend time on the roof before the meeting. Lucian is already here too. He stood with his back to her, looking at the colors smeared across the sky. You look like you're posing for an artist, or... Good evening. You know what? Let's go with you're posing for an artist. Turning around, the vampire smiled at her. What can I say? I'm always as handsome as a portrait. Ha ha. The catcher came closer to stand next to him. You look fresh. Oh, thank you. Too bad I don't feel fresh. My presence is still acting up at times. It concerns me. Give your body a little time. It has accomplished a real feat, holding the power of an ancient artifact for so long. I'm sure everything will be back to normal soon. What do you, have there? He raised his hand with a string of various pendants. Aw. It's like a bone necklace? Order of Eternal Light members like to make trophies out of our fangs. This is one of them. I took it off the woman I killed in the Polymorph's labyrinth. They usually pull the fangs off of vampires already dead if they are still intact. Ripping them out while we're still alive is a dangerous undertaking, as you understand. None of us would even calmly agree to such a procedure. Lucian ran his finger over one of the gilded teeth of the necklace. We have one fangless vampire in our pact, Nikolai. He wears prosthetics, but can't hunt like he used to. And surprisingly, the Order had nothing to do with that. Who did this to him, then? Some herbalist who was obsessed with our poison. He decided to create a serum of temporary vampirism. All our abilities without the need to feed on blood and other disadvantages. Constantino killed him when he came to rescue Nikolai. He put the necklace in his pocket. Apologies, I didn't mean to bore you with this. It's not boring at all. I enjoy learning more about vampires. He turned to the sprawling cityscape in front of him, lost in thought. Would you rather be alone? No. Sorry if I made you feel like I don't want your company. Today is a special day. One that makes me think about the past. You have a lot of that. Past. I keep forgetting that you're so much older than all of us. If you're going to make a joke about my age, then I'm afraid you've got me confused with someone else. I'm not a warlock, not Chinese, and my wardrobe is far more diverse. Are you making a jab at Shen? I'm confused. Nova laughed, waving her hand at him. You said today's special? He smirked. It wasn't his usual mysterious, confident smirk, but a bitter one. The day I was turned. The day my ex-wife was turned. The day our child died. The catcher recoiled. Your child? You had a child? The fact that he used to be married didn't surprise her too much, but a child? Yes. Lucian was still staring at the horizon as if trying to find something only he could see. Are you surprised? Yes, by how little I actually know about you, even though we're working together for some time. He shrugged. Until recently, there was a lot we didn't know about you. My past is not a secret. You never asked. If you want to learn more, I will tell you. Yes, I would like to know more. Lucian nodded with a soft smile. My ex-wife's name was Agnes. Is she... She's alive. She has her own clan back in France. At least she did when I last heard about her. We met during the First World War. She was the daughter of the battalion commandant I served under. Agnes, her sisters, and her mother came to the rear to say goodbye to the commandant before fleeing from France to Switzerland. I immediately noticed her strong will and stubbornness that bordered on recklessness. Admittedly, they were hard not to notice. She declared to the whole camp that she refused to go to Switzerland and would remain at the front. She said she would fight. Of course, no one was going to indulge her desires. The night before they were to leave, I was put on guard in a tent to make sure she wouldn't run away. Let me guess, she tried? She did. She ran for the woods. I had to chase her. She turned out to be quite a runner. But I did catch her. That's how we got to know each other. After she stopped raging and cursing me for everything under the sun, she was taken to Switzerland. But we corresponded regularly and fell in love. When her father found out about our relationship, he was very upset. I was a simple soldier from a working-class family, while she came from a lineage with noble roots. The commandant wanted more for his daughter, but he also understood she'd rather remain unmarried than wed a suitor chosen by her parents. So he arranged a vacation for me and sent me to Switzerland to marry her. Did you want to, both of you? We were planning on it anyway, but we were going to marry in secret. I think Agnes was disappointed when everything came out and we had to organize an official wedding. She liked to do everything in defiance. When the war ended, we settled in France. Everything was going well except for one thing we couldn't conceive, even though both of us dreamed of becoming parents. But even without children, we were never bored. Agnes's thirst for adventure and intense experiences got her in all sorts of trouble. One fine night, she took me to a dinner party, hosted by vampires. Oh. I was terrified. I thought we were going to be their main course. And I was only partially wrong, because Agnes actually gave them her blood. I wanted to run away from there, but I couldn't just leave her. Long story short, we ended up becoming frequent guests at those parties. And not only because Agnes enjoyed them, I found friends there too. Naturally, spending time among vampires was soon no longer enough for her. She wanted to become one herself. I supported her idea, but by that time we'd already accepted we'd never have children, so the inability of vampires to conceive wasn't a deterrent. Oh. Lucian pursed his lips, folding his arms over his chest. Nova had never seen him so somber. When I woke up after receiving the poison, I tried to see Agnes, but they wouldn't let me in the room. For the next few hours, I was going mad with bloodlust, fear from my wife. I'll never forget the way she screamed. When everything was done, she came out to me, her eyes silver, a smile on her face. She said the process was harder for her than it was for me, but I had nothing to worry about anymore. I could sense she was lying, but didn't want to believe it. For a couple of months, we were too busy adjusting to our new lives and a new way of life. We moved, and with all the hustle, I even managed to forget about that oddity. And then I found her Nosferatus letters, the vampire who turned her. He was blackmailing her, threatening to tell me the truth if she didn't pay. The truth was, she was pregnant when she was turned. Wow, that's what I figured, but when the poison entered her blood, she had a miscarriage. Did she know she was carrying a baby? She did. Oh. I knew that if she told me, I'd change my mind about becoming a vampire, so she didn't say anything. She was too eager to get what she wanted. After that, everything fell apart. Agnes admitted she never actually wanted children and took measures not to get pregnant. That's why we couldn't conceive. Damn. That really just, that hits a nerve for me. I would have never judged her for not wanting to become a mother if she just told me everything. Society sets insane expectations on women. It must have been difficult for her, understanding she had no desire to fulfill them. But in the end, I couldn't forgive her lies. Yep. So, soon we went our separate ways. Oh, Lucian, I'm so sorry. Thank you, Nova. Nova was going to say more, but Lucian beat her to it. Someone's coming. I'm afraid we'll have to put our heart-to-heart on pause. Almost immediately after, Vesper, Onyx, and Shin came out onto the roof. You're already here. Great. The catcher's eyes were drawn to Onyx, who was already looking at her with a sheepish smile. As all of them came closer, the Anamorphics stood next to her and suddenly touched her arm. Hi. Hi. The blush on their cheeks didn't escape the attention of the others, but no one commented. Because they have a right to? Anyway, I'm just saying. Is Jorge coming? No, he's busy with the other things, and he's not particularly interested in our treasure hunt. So everyone's here. Let's get started. I have a meeting with... He broke off. Nova didn't understand why right away, but then it dawned on her. No information besides what I absolutely need to know. She quickly looked over their faces. To deny the shift in their dynamic would be foolish. In the past, during such meetings, everyone would be relaxed and making jokes. Now, however, awkwardness drifted between them like a cool breeze. Lucian broke the silence, for which Nova was very grateful. As I understand, our focus is now on the Catherine de Medici. Any ideas what our next step will be? We have very little data. I managed to get a hold of several journal entries of her contemporaries, but so far nothing remarkable about them. I found a TV series about her, and it said she loved secrets. There were hidden passages, hiding places throughout her castle, so... Why are you looking at me like that? Because usually these three come up with smart ideas, while you and I nod and pretend we're of any use at these meetings. Speak for yourself. I have a lot of smart thoughts. Which evaporate the moment you see a ball of yarn. Okay. That was pretty good. No, listen, he burned you. Actually, Vesper sighed and began to massage her temples while Lucian watched the argument with evident enjoyment. He looked like the only thing missing was a snack. Well, at least that hasn't changed. Onyx is right. Catherine loved mysteries. The problem is we're unlikely to come across anything by continuing the search or research from Rome. It would be good to search her residences. The main one was Chateau de Blois. Give the Magistrum's scrutiny of any activities of others right now. It'll be extremely difficult, if not impossible, for the four of you to go into France. But what if we don't have any other options? I understand my opinion probably doesn't matter much, but I feel like we need to hurry, precisely because of what's happening. The theft of the conduit started a chain of events that cannot be stopped now. I agree. There's no turning back. We need leverage as soon as possible. Otherwise... I know. I'll see what I can do. Even if I manage to find a way, it won't be anytime soon. Now, let's think about what we can do from here. They spent the next half an hour exchanging ideas, which were fewer than they would have liked. Well, I guess that's it. Find an excuse to spend time with the Alliance. God, is that expensive. Nova looked around nervously in search of that very excuse. Failing to find anything, she blurted out the first thing that came to her mind. Don't you think we need to clean up here a bit? Shin, who's already turned to leave, stopped and looked at her over his shoulder, raising an eyebrow. What? The others also stared at her with varying degrees of surprise on their faces. Well, the leaves, they're just lying there rotting. We need to clean up the roof. It has been completely neglected. To Miriam Illa! Vesper waved her hand and the leaves flew to the corners and beyond the roof. Better? Yeah. Since when are you so concerned about cleanliness? Why don't you come over here and lick me then? What? Shut up! Listen, you're literally a cat. I'm just saying. I'm literally just saying. The catcher's response was a dejected shrug. Oh, but Nova always made sure everything was nice and neat. I don't remember... Onyx nudged Shin, and Shin retaliated with a scowl. Oh, fine, I just wanted to stay here for a while with all of you. Like the time we had the Astra and celebrated my joining the Alliance, remember? Of course we remember. Nova sighed. Her sincere feelings were ready to burst out. And she let them. I understand things are different now between us. I understand nothing will ever be the same. It's just... I wanted to stay because the nest became my home. It became my home because of you. And I didn't tell you the truth about myself because I was afraid of losing that feeling. And I did lose it. Precisely because I was afraid to come clean. She shook her head, hugging herself. I don't know why I'm telling you this. I guess I hope that even if you can't really forgive me, you'll at least try to understand. I didn't want to hurt you. The next few seconds passed in silence, broken only by the rustle of sparse leaves and the wind playing through the pipes. Then, Onyx came up to her and hugged her. Your foster father is the biggest piece of shit in the world. I want to scratch his face. Oh, yeah. I'd add a couple of curses to that. Or 10. A desire to avenge her stirred mixed feelings within the catcher. Her father caused her a lot of pain, but he was still her father, until recently the only person who cared about her. No comment. I wish I could figure out if it was out of love or just because he needed me for the mission. Needed you for the mission. Now Shin, Vesper, and Lucian were also standing next to her. You're right, Nova. Nothing will be the same. But we don't need it to be. Now that there are no more secrets between us, we can become stronger. Over time, we'll learn to genuinely trust each other. I'd like that. You know what I think, Huntress. The Alliance without you wouldn't be the Alliance. Thank you. All of you. When Nova looked at their faces again, everyone was smiling. I'd be up for some Astra, but I don't think Jorge would share any. I could steal some. I know where his stash is. You mean the one underneath the floorboard in the hallway on the second floor? It's empty. And don't look at me like that. I have a tough job, a tough life. I need to relax sometimes. Let's ignore a supreme wish. Stealing Astra and not sharing. Now that is betrayal. It's always the person you least expect. You'll get over it. There was a clap of thunder, and they took a break from the conversation to look up at the sky. It frowned back, deep and immense. Onyx shivered, wrinkling her nose in displeasure. Weather's getting worse. Aww. I'm saving this. Now the clouds were trying to cover as much of space as possible, as if they wanted to hide the delicate shades of purple and pink. The wind grew harsher and sharper, ever trying to warm them or simply to intimidate. Also, her hair's not red and I'm mad. The storm's coming. That's fine. We'll be ready. Also, Lucian's hair is not the same either. A lot of the stuff that we pick throughout the thing isn't the same as the artwork. It's like they're one standard picture they made, and it's kind of sad, but Eh, maybe we should. Before he could finish his sentence, Vesper's phone rang. After checking who was calling, she picked up the phone without stepping away from the group. The longer she listened, the darker her expression became. Yes, we'll be there soon. She turned to the catcher. Nova. That was Werner. Renato is dying. That's what I figured. Listen, I give you guys tons of diamonds. I'm gonna be real with you. Like, you know, I'm just saying. You guys ate like 200 and some diamonds. Just hold on. I have to go get my diamonds there. Anyway, 1 sun, 1 moon, 3 status, 0 power. And that pretty much is it. Oh, look, I've logged in for another day. So, wait, hold on. I thought this was in development. Yeah, I was about to say, that was it. Yeah, no. So, looks like they will not be releasing this for about 2 more weeks. The reason why is, well, before I get into that, which will make you stay here. Haha, I've got you! Literally, there's no going anywhere. You're tied down. If you did enjoy the content, right? Now that especially we've caught up to this, to the finale of this one. So we're done with book 2. We're waiting now for the developers for book 3. If you did enjoy what I do and you do want to see more of it, please consider supporting the channel, supporting the video by liking, sharing, and subscribing if you're not already. And again, down in the description of the video, there's ways to support. There's also the subscribe plus feature that is readily available through the channel, that you hit that button and you're able to subscribe. There's also ways of becoming a member of this channel and whatnot, especially if you ever want to just give back, kind of like we have options to give the developers. You know, I give a lot of ads to them, but I also give a lot of things like, you know, money and diamonds and everything else, and then also covering their content as well. So please consider giving back. But other than that, now to get into why the developers are a little late. Apparently they're going to be rolling out a bunch of new things for the app itself. So precisely, and I will quote them on this, we've already, you know, done the update. It's all ready, but they're doing some finishing touches on it. We, you know, they know that you're all looking forward to the new updated and all, you know, the new episodes and everything else, which also gives the authors a little bit more time to work on future things too, because there's actually quite a few books that we've been waiting for quite some time to come along, right? And some of them have been a little slow released. So this does give the authors a break. It's also the holiday season. Do remember that. It is the holiday season. So things kind of do typically production-wise slow down. You look at television, movies and whatnot, a lot of those things slow down as well. There's hiatuses, there's season breaks, there's things like that. So do keep that in mind. But aside from that, this update will contain a bunch of new features, including the ability to add friends to your profile. So if any of you want to, you know, add me and vice versa, that'd be great. You know, when they add that feature, you'll be able to send gifts, messages, new achievements, milestones, number of limited edition items available immediately in the store or soon in a future patch, but also available to be unlocked for free by collecting resources that will bring extra surprises. They're saying that it's basically a very big, ambitious project that they've undertook, and that they're hoping that it'll make our holiday season special and even more fun and joyful. And you know, they apologize for the delay, but that they will be doing the update as soon as possible. So as soon as they feel like, you know, hey, we're ready. Right, so it seems like November 14th and 15th, right? So it's fine. You know, they might release it sooner, since it was, air quote, delayed. Or, well, may I say, since it was 14th or 15th. Hi, I'm having a brain fart. It is November. I still feel like it was October. Really, October went by really, really quickly for me. There was a lot going on. I was super saturated with trying to do content, real-life things, and the whole 9 yards. So, yeah, no, sorry, brain fart. I would say, in all honesty, by the end of November. So that's what I was thinking, is mentally giving them another week or two. So, yeah, no. just hang tight. You know, there's plenty of content to check out on the channel. There's plenty of other games out there. In all honesty, try out the Tiny Cafe game that, you know, I put up on the channel. Also, there's one game that I haven't put up yet, which I don't know if I'm going to do or not. It's something that's very simple, cool. It's kind of fun to do. It's a Capybara Go, right? You know, that like that little creature. But it's a little mobile game that just came out, and I've actually enjoyed it. It's kind of like something to just pass the time, really. But I've really, really enjoyed it. So feel free to check that out. It's my little note for you guys who are still here. Go check it out. Aside from that, once again, thank you all for watching. Love your beautiful faces. Hopefully, because Thanksgiving's in a few days, if you celebrate it, cool. Hopefully you enjoy your holiday. If not, hopefully you enjoy the rest of November. Hopefully you stay warm, don't get sick. And my biggest suggestion to you is, if, and a little note too, you know, like, you know, this is something to think about. I personally, because, you know, my brothers that I take care of and whatnot, and then also my own health problems, when I go out in the public right now, I do kind of cover my face because of cold and flu. I don't want to get sick, and by doing so, just by going out in the store, you're about to go in the store, you throw on the thing, you just cover it up, you get your stuff, you get out, then you take it off. I cannot say it enough, I've actually not been sick in like 5 years. Like, I've got my own health problems, right? But I've actually not been sick in going on 5 years. It's actually been really, really nice. Like, I've, you know, had sniffles and allergies and things like that, but like during cold and flu season, I have not been sick. So that's all I can give you, a little life tip to finish this video of, since it is also the finale. So just keep that in mind, right? Stay safe, stay healthy, stay warm. You know, unless you live in another part of the world, which is nice and warm right now, and you're lucky. Because I'm not a huge fan of winter. I love fall, I love spring, summer, bleh, winter's about the same as summer. But at least I can go out and do things in the summer that I can't do during the winter. So yeah. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Catch you all later. Peace out.